There's been a lot of comments about kind of circling back to the Birthing Ritual shell along and the Quantum Riddler Birthing Ritual shell. We had a pretty early draft that was really trying to play a lot of the other warp cards. We were playing All Fate Stalker. We were trying the Panharmonicon warp creature in that list. That was mostly so that you had more like Birthing Ritual into warp creature do a big spell draws. But the more I play with these decks, the more I kind of think that the mana curve of that kind of build was kind of high. The card quality was kind of low, and the mana was also really bad. I really did not enjoy being the fourth color. The red Overlord was actually pretty good, but like having a double red spell in your deck was really tough. Having the Charmals in the sideboard was really tough. So I ended up trying to streamline the list a lot. And I don't know that we've ever played a Risen Reef Birthing Ritual deck before, but it ended up tying the room together in a really satisfying way, I think. Where I was interested in playing Helga, so you can have a card that pitches to your Subtlety and your Solitudes, extra source of card advantage, extra source of mana, a card that's good to Birthing Ritual into. Um, uh, and I was thinking that, like, man, I really, really want another blue card, so I have a density of blue cards to pitch to Subtlety. Right now we're at 17, which is 15, which is a fine number. A little on the low side, but fine, especially with all the card draw in the deck. I'm like, I really just want another blue card. And then I'm like, and I went ahead and already added the Nissa. And I was like, what else could we play? And it's just like Risen Reef, just obviously so good in your Subtlety Solitude deck that cares about creature ETBs, and you can play your Risen Reef and you can sack it into like a Witness or a Helga or a Nissa, and it just kind of really tied the room together quite nicely. I think. I do think that it's really important that you are pretty in on the Eternal Witness Orim's Chant lock in this strategy. I think that while you do have some good interaction against like Titan and Neoform with Subtlety, and you have Solitudes and Prismatic Endings, this is just really important so that you have inevitability against those kind of linear matchups. Your deck, quite frankly, is quite slow and quite controlling, so it's not something I think you can rely on. Like Subtlety, and then I'm going to kill you. You can't like Subtlety your Titan opponent and then kill them on turn 4, like some decks can. So you need to have this kind of inevitability to draw into. I don't think there's too much else to talk about. I almost played the third Witch Enchanter because I think it's just so good with Birthing Ritual, but I think it's a little greedy to play the third Witch Enchanter. I think we can probably just start gaming. Okay, opponent has suspended a Lotus Bloom here. Probably, honestly, not really that good against Belcher. Don't really have premium interaction against them. Could maybe have kept the Subtlety for Tamashi. Our Orim's Chants are Orim's Chants are really good, and we do have the Consigns on the board. Maybe we're okay against them. We'll see. Could save the fetch line for a one of this. I think it's probably going to be better almost always to surveil. Jath, the 28 months. Hope you're doing well. Welcome everybody. Why Risen Reef over something like Coiling Oracle? Are you going to get more than one draw before you ritual it away? Of course. Look at this game right in front of your eyeballs. We don't have a Birthing Ritual. This Risen Reef is way better than Coiling Oracle would be. Also, we were talking about Risen Reef, Coiling Oracle, Birthing Ritual specifically, I guess. Like, on turn 3, you're really not going to have like much else to do with that one extra mana besides maybe an Ephemerate. So it's not like there's that big a difference between Birthing Ritual into Coiling Oracle anyways. If you're trying to just do it on turn 3, this can put 4 drops into play. You have Witch Enchanters, and sometimes you want to put Subtlety into play, although pretty rarely, I would think. But like, what I really like about Risen Reef, and Helga to an extent too, is that playing these cards allows you to have draws that are really good and powerful, that don't mean that you have to have an active Birthing Ritual, that don't mean that you have to have an active Quantum Riddler. This deck has so much redundancy to its card advantage engine that it's really hard to pick apart, backed up by a lot of cheap interaction. All right. I don't think we're good against Belcher, though. Let's get Belched, see what their list looks like, and go to game 2. No White Orchid Phantoms. I didn't end up playing Phantoms. The double white on turn 2 is very tough. We may be under-respecting Belcher a little bit. Format is definitely, evolving. I do think Belcher's good. We get to bring in the 4th Orim's Chant. We get to bring in all 4 Consigns. The Nature's Claim should be good because it can hit Lotus Bloom and then sometimes Belcher if they don't have the mana. Endurance is good against Tamashii, but we also potentially will have Solitudes for Tamashii. I don't think I want to keep the Subtleties in, which kind of makes the Reefs a little bit worse, to be sure. I don't want to play the Prismatic Endings. The one of Phelia could end up going. I think the first Endurance probably gets in here. If not, maybe the second. I think maybe 2 Endurance, 3 Solitude is a good split. This doesn't look so bad. Doesn't look so bad. Actually, the literary title is always 5-0. Yeah, I was really excited when I saw I could title the stream Risen Reef Riddler Ritual. Hi, Nation, the 31 months. Thank you. Welcome back. I assume the 5th mana so much. Has Fracturing Gust been considered overfade from history? Instant speed may have its uses, though. Yeah, I mean, it's considered, sure. Like, we were playing Fracturing Gust in one of the Ice Till Explorer decks that we built on Saturday. Because that deck was, like, playing 4 Lotus Cobras and was playing Utopia Sprawl. Like, getting to fit 5 mana on turn 3 was really realistic. I think that in this format, with how fast the affinity decks are, that extra reduction on the mana is really important. Simply Ritual the Phantoms, or does that not work? I mean, you could Ritual into a Phantom. I think that in your modern sideboards, it's important to be able to cast your 2-drop consistently on turn 2. I mean, we're not that inconsistent, probably, but just a little weird to also have the double white 2-drops. You could play them. You could definitely play Phantoms. Sideboard, sideboards in Modern are notoriously very taxed. I would also really like to have some Force of Negations. The thing is, we maybe could pull back a little bit on the affinity hate in the sideboard, so certainly could play a couple Phantoms. It would be, a card that would come in a few other matchups too. I guess, maybe if the Phantoms are better than I think they are too, since like, I think that maybe I'm a little slow to adapt to the fact that Tron is now the new big mana deck, because the Eldrazi builds have not been doing well, the Tron builds have been doing well, and Phantom is like really, really good against Tron compared to the other Eldrazi builds. So, I mean, maybe my attitude is a little out of date on that as a sideboard card. Okay, let's keep this. I think we should probably put back the second Chant. Yeah, I've been liking Test of Talents too. That card has been definitely a performer. Is Modern a turn 2 format now? These new Time Sieve Munition decks are ridiculous. Wrath the Skies too slow. Lamau. Well, I do think that the Munitions deck, I don't feel like what you have said, Wrath the Skies and Munitions, makes me feel like Modern is a turn 2 format. Like, to me, turn 2 is dying on turn 2, which just almost doesn't happen. Wrath the Skies is still quite good against the affinity decks, but Munitions, Kappa Cannoneer, and then Tezzeret, which is what we were playing, is a pretty good combination to stop these decks from popping off, as it were. They have a Force of Negation? Yeah. Maybe Shoal. Where was I going with this? So, I do agree that the affinity builds are adapting to where they are more resilient to Wrath the Skies. Like when we were playing in the, I don't remember if it was for the trophy with our Izzet build or in like round 1 of the showcase on Saturday. It's all kind of blurring together. But we had an opponent who had double Wrath the Skies, Clarion Conqueror, and then another like sideboard card that was like less effective, and we like stomped them. And it is definitely very much like how the draws run into each other. I will even say though that the card Fade from History is better against Affinity though, because it kills Saga, it kills Weapons Manufacturing too, it kills Kappa Cannoneer, where Wrath the Skies almost never kills Kappa Cannoneer. So I think that dynamic is also pretty fun. I'm gonna go and get Basic Forest just in case my opponent boarded in Harbinger, and also there's a little bit of extra equity with this. That if I get Basic Forest now, my opponents are gonna be they're going to be kind of incentivized to not bring in Harbinger if we go to game 3. This is some showcase. How did this, I guess you can see here. 4-color blink. I didn't see this one. Kind of hate the Oculuses. I guess they're okay with the Rumbles. I still think 3 is kind of too many where you're just not casting it that often. Also, 3 Quantum Riddlers is wrong. In my opinion. It is the incorrect number of Oculuses. They did get another Flare of Denial here. I don't think I'm supposed to Orim's Chant to um get the Flare out of the hand. I think I'm just supposed to trade the Reef for it, so I can keep like Consign up for Belcher this turn and then save the Chant later. Because if I go Chant Reef and they just play Belcher, it's like a nightmare. I do think the Phantoms are probably good. I think that's something our list is probably missing, but play the fourth Quantum Riddler, chatters. Yeah, I think Wall of Omens, that's a good call out too. I think that's also a pretty big miss. They grab a Stern Scolding, which could be a little annoying. Maybe we'll just find a Quantum Riddler. Definitely the best possible top deck. I guess we're gonna get Blue-White Surveil. You know what? Actually, yeah, I think we need to keep this, and I think we actually do need to. We can go Chant. We can go Chant into or into Witness, return fetch land, and then we can get the Ritual Chain going. They're bouncing my Ritual. Interesting. We get a fish. They still have the Stern Scolding, so I need to get this down now. Fish probably not going to do a lot this game. I guess they do have a Flusterstorm in their hands, so I guess we're kind of weak to Belcher plus land. But we know one of their cards is Scolding, one of their cards is Flusterstorm. It'd have to be untap land plus Belcher as 2 of their last 3 cards. Yeah, thanks, Beck. You know, it is funny. People always say, Spike, you should start a podcast. But I do feel like the stream is so podcast adjacent. I always think that input is funny. Okay, so they're slamming the Belcher. Let's see if they have the 3rd copy of Flare. They can't really show for 1. I guess they can. They have 1s in their hand. Never mind. They could show for 1. Okay, they don't have it though, which is obviously a huge deal. So their hand is Flusterstorm, Stern Scolding, 2 mystery cards. That's not a bad draw either. Okay, so we could sack the Witness for a Risen Reef. I think that we do need to get the cards flowing here. Not a bad draw. A little bit awkward how I've tapped, though. Can pay for Flusterstorm. Untapped field. What does that mean? I guess this could be Whir with Flusterstorm up. I hate drawing this. I would have loved for this to be a card deeper for sure. Let me go ahead and cast this Eternal Witness. It's gonna get Scoldinged, but that does mean that they can't Whir with the Flusterstorm up anymore. So I think we just go ahead and make that trade. Mod with the 4 months. These top decks have been crispy. I agree. Thank you for the resub. Do you think it's time for Alishnorn Mom to make a comeback as a sideboard card? Maybe. I think it would be good in the Quantum Riddler mirrors. Format is changing a lot, so you know it is time to start thinking about changes like that. But I think it's okay to just kind of spend some more time learning, just kind of where I'm mentally at the moment, I guess. Okay, so they have 3 cards in their hand. They bounced my Risen Reef. Okay, let's go for the Ephemerate in response, which is going to just get the... This is just going to get the Flusterstorm out of there, but I think that is also okay. Maybe that's not the case, but I don't think I mind this trade. Any reviews of the Ketchermos and Warp cards? No, I think that the Quantum Riddler more or less replaces Ketchermos in Modern. There may be a couple exceptions to that with some... I do have a couple brews that are maybe interested in Ketchermos still, but as far as like the pile of like flicker your thing and get card advantage, Quantum Riddler seems to do that thing much better than Ketchermos does. So my opponent plays a Tamashi. They can get back Goblin Charbelcher with it, but they don't have a Lotus Bloom at the moment. And so maybe I buy like a single turn with this Nature's Claim if that's the case. Okay. So yeah, they might just keep bouncing back Charbelcher, and we might just keep killing it. Fade into History, I think, is the best card against Kappa Candidate Affinity. Is their last card another copy of Snapback? You give me a Fish Giver, okay. Can't grab any of that. When my opponent goes for the Belcher this turn, which is what I'm going to assume is going to happen, I don't think I want a Nature's Claim. I think I want to use the Witch Enchanter this turn. This could backfire a lot if their draw for turn was a Flare of Denial, or if the card they draw off Tamashi is a Flare of Denial. That would kind of be a disaster if I couldn't bait it out with the Nature's Claim. But I'm really interested in Witch Enchanter grabbing me a Quantum Riddler or a Solitude to exile the Tamashi, and I think it's just wait, they didn't play their land? I think we just they've already played 2 Flare of Denial, so it's just not that likely that they drew one. Okay, so we were right about that. And then if we don't find the Solitude off the Witch Enchanter, then we can still Nature's Claim this Belcher at the end of their turn. Or maybe at a different moment. Okay, so we find Quantum Riddler instead, which we'll go ahead and grab. Keeping up on the cards at least. Yeah, it's weird that they didn't replay their land in that last game. Maybe they had Force of Negation, which land did they pick up? I mean, it was a blue one. It was Sulfuric Springs, which is it was Sync. They wanted to hold the Sync up. Okay, I think I will go ahead and Nature's Claim now. I don't love giving them 4 life, which is a whole Quantum Riddler attack. The Chant does not stop the Tamashi. Good chance I want to Surveil this turn instead of playing Helga. They show pitching Sync. I think we still Surveil. We also we did bottom a Solitude earlier, so we get to shuffle a little bit. Just one more look at Solitude. Found it. Now we'll go ahead and Chant. Making me fight for it round 1 today. Thanks, Matthew. You too. Esther's out today. I'm gonna get Lucy a chair to sit in. All right. Let's attack first. Magical to 58 months. Thanks again for the sub badges. I'm sorry I didn't get them up. I had a crazy weekend. But Magical got us some new sub badges. They'll be up soon. They look really good. They're Jade Avenger themed. We could hit Risen Reef, so I think we don't quite play this Endurance. Guess we might as well Solitude the Archaeologist. We do have lethal next turn. Hopefully they don't have a whir. Yeah, I guess we want to play around top deck whir into Tamashi. They suspend a Lotus Bloom, so that was their top deck. And then they play a Tamashi. So I guess their last 2 cards could still be untapped land and whir, so let's not slam right now. So one problem here is that the Tamashi block does let them live, even if they have nothing else. But it seems not the most likely that my opponent can. So see. It seems not that likely that our opponent can kill me next turn. They can't go land Belcher. They can't play untapped land at all. They can't go, like... They would have to have Whir Belcher, basically. I guess they shouldn't have conceded, right? Because they could have Whirred and then drawn a card off Tamashi into Belcher. So that was probably an early concession still. I think I'm going to play fourth Solitude over second Endurance in retrospect. And then we'll go to game 3. I had a dream you moved your stream setup to your kitchen. I was confused why. I tried to explain the stream, why it was a breakthrough idea. I have streamed in the kitchen a couple times for the Factor and HelloFresh sponsors. It's funny. Last night I dreamed that like Athena ate a lot of chocolate, and then I woke up and I realized it was a dream, and I didn't have to go do anything. It was a good feeling. Yeah, so Lucy usually spends the day with Esther, but Esther's out for the day. We got that dog back. Be nice doing game or match 1 here. Probably one of our tougher matchups. We talked about your 3-0's Scion Assist from EOE, the jellyfish that reduces your second spell cost. I think that was maybe a card that I cut from the YouTube video because I didn't think it was that interesting, although a little interesting. I remember sitting and kind of thinking about that card and trying to figure out like what interesting sequences there were with it, and I couldn't really think of any that were that interesting. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that card that is particularly powerful. There might be something, but for the most part, it didn't strike me as a card that was it's like in a lot of ways, wasn't it just like worse than Vivi? Obviously not strictly worse or anything, but like, so it's a 2/4. The second spell each turn costs 2 less, but you could play Vivi and you could like immediately get 2 mana back from Vivi a lot of the time, and then make more mana from Vivi, and you have a flyer that's like bigger and dealing damage. Would be good in Fury builds. Fury of the Horde's not that good. The only legal Fury. We did play Fury of the Horde when Beanstalk was legal, actually. Okay, so we have our Nature's Claim. We also have Phelia, which can like flicker the orbs. I think we should go for the Phelia this turn. Possible not. I did board out my Prismatic Endings, but I do, funny enough, I have exactly 2 answers to Torpor Orb in my deck, and they're both in my hand. My opponent's tapping 2 mana for a Thundertrap Trainer or Archaeologist, I think, and then realized that, oh no, they have a Torpor Orb in play. And then they play a Harbinger of the Seas, which is also... It's annoying, but what I surveilled my planes into the yard. That's... Talk about annoying. That sucks. So I guess what we're going to do is we're going to play the Phelia, and then we're going to try to flicker the Harbinger, and then consign its return. Which feels bad, because we could have maybe just kind of ignored the Harbinger a little bit. And then I think I'm interested in not Nature's Claiming the Orb right now. Because the way they tapped 2 mana, it kind of seemed like maybe they had a Thundertrap Trainer or an Archaeologist in their hand. And I also like may need to Nature's Claim Belcher this turn. Can you scam warp creatures and orb like evoke? No, the warp still triggers, even if there's a Torpor Orb in play. Not the most intuitive for sure. So I can get a Surveil land and then Basic Forest off the Heath if I want to play around another Harbinger. Since I surveilled my planes into the yard, that's about all we can do here. Another copy of Quantum Riddler. So if I hit them for 10, then to 10, and then next turn I attack for 7. Yeah, I think I am saving the Nature's Claim for a Belcher. I think I'm just not, I think I could just have a couple big creatures kill them pretty quick. And it also, again, it does seem like they have a trainer or an archaeologist in their hand, but maybe I'm misreading that. Could flicker the orb. I mean, I could. I guess I still could down the line too. That's true. I think this turn I just want to get 7 total points of power in play. I guess I could still do that with the Ephemerate too. Maybe that was better. They suspend a bloom, so it's very hard for them to deal with my Nature's Claim. I think I want to play around Force of Negation most of the time. Let me see what my top card is, though. It's a Birthing Ritual. I think with the Torp Orb in play, let's not focus on that, but let's go ahead and claim the Belcher. All right. That was a crazy first match. Crazy first match. On the draw, I'm gonna keep my 7. But if you get an instant speed 1 would be really, really, really nice. But it's kind of cool too that it can be good with both Frog and Goy if they both get really big with Necro. You can pitch this to Soul Spike and to March. Think about the VV comparison. I want to point out that Cyanus is each turn, not just yours on 4 Toughness Rift. Yeah, it's definitely not a strict upside or downside, but I didn't realize it was each turn. It could, the card could end up being like way better than I would expect it to be too. There just aren't like a lot of good like single pip double generic cards too. There's some this hollow one, Reanimator maybe. Discard 2 lands. So okay, so I know about, so when I say I want a black fling, I know that Calisel Sword is black on the front half, but you know that's a red fling. It's not a. Should we let on archive so we can chant and surveil next turn? But that's not a black fling, and it's also not an instant. But it is 1 less mana, but it also dies to removal in a way that Rite of Consumption doesn't. So I think it's also worse, anyways. Slinger with the 41. So hope you're doing well. I know it's not even close to comparison. Cards been insane and limited. I mean, sometimes being insane and limited is nice. I just would need to figure out like what play patterns this card is good with. Like what cards are we casting off of it? Why is it good? You know, it's just very confusing to me. Maybe it's good with like Time Warp, but VV's also really good with Time Warp. All right, well, I've used 24 seconds. My opponent's about to have used 4 minutes. But they are taking a game action now, which is really nice of them. Yeah, I agree. It's the kind of card it's good when you play bad cards. A little reductive, maybe. Very weird to fetch shock, then Thoughtseize. Not sure what that's about. Yeah, I mean, it's just maybe just like probably rethinking whatever they were gonna do. Like they thought they were maybe gonna play a Frog and then decided to Thoughtseize first. Okay, I'm gonna do a prediction. Are we gonna get a plus 10 minutes on match clock? Plus 10 minutes on. Okay, they took my Quantum Riddler and then they passed. So I think I'm interested in chanting this turn and then following up with Risen Reef into Subtlety. Again, I really got punished for playing the Hedge Maze instead. They mill a Fatal Push and an Emperor of Bones. This does seem to be the Grixis Reanimator deck. I need to get Hallowed Fountain or Temple Garden. I think I'll get Temple Garden since we have the Archive. Kind of minor. Okay, will we get plus 10 minutes on the match clock? Right now we're plus 4, so seems like it's probable. I recently sinned a Helga domain list that also played 4 Baelmerk and 2 Flickerwest for another strong 2-card opener. It played Dismembers as removal over Fire Ice. So I'm assuming that that's a Helga deck too. It's an interesting angle. I agree. So they play a Faithless Looting. Let's hope they don't have like Archon Persist. Plus 5 minutes. They do have Archon. And they have Persist. So I think that we just discard Archive here. I don't think I'm supposed to. Subtlety looking for Solitude right this second. So we can Surveil first here. Quantum Riddler, not helpful. I do have... Oh, I don't. I surveilled the Archive away, so... Or I discarded the Archive. So let's go ahead and take one more look at Solitude here. Miss and go to game 2. So quad Endurance coming in. Should be a good card. My opponent's also on Emperor of Bones and Psychic Frog. I don't know if that's 3 Prismatic Ending or 4. It's probably kind of close. I think I'm interested in trimming a Helga. I'm interested in going down to like 2 Subtleties. Seems like kind of a good number, maybe less. Seems like maybe the Orim's Chance Lock is also something we don't really want to be assembling. Yeah, it seems like we can assemble a lock that doesn't involve Orim's Chant. So maybe we can get the last Helga back in and just play more of a like general fair plan, something like this. I think that looks okay. Chant's kind of bad against Emperor of Bones too. Yeah, this looks fine. Let's go ahead and click submit. Any chance Satoru can make a comeback? Yeah, I mean, could. I think that Satoru losing Grief was like almost the death of the card. Those two cards just played so well together. I think we keep it Ephemerate. Second Witness over third Subtlety. Well, the thing is, like, I kind of wanted the third Subtlety for Helga, but I don't know. It could. I think it's a fine suggestion. So they keep a card on top, then they play a Bloodstained Mire. Scour themselves, milling an Archon of Cruelty. A little bit scary. Then they pass the turn. I guess you get punished for the planes. Mana's always a little bit weird in these decks, I guess. Because I would want to hold the fetch land for the Nissa. They have a Fatal Push? Push would be really good, because like if they didn't have push into Persist, we could like Solitude, get the trigger, or trigger the Ritual. That still lets me go Nissa plus trigger, so I think we keep that. Although, I guess putting it into hand could be better if we wanted to play around Persist, because then we could like discard Witch Enchanter and then go Nissa plus fetch land this next turn. So they lead on a Thoughtseize. Pretty good. They tank, so this means they don't have Persist. How could they ever choose? I mean, they're just taking their time. They take the Nissa. Then they scour themselves. So not getting Archon this turn. That's always a good thing. So I think I'd like to upkeep Surveil. Although maybe this is worse than just casting the Witch Enchanter. Not sure. We'd have also gone like hard cast Solitude end of turn. Don't hate this draw though. A lot of difficult choices. They graveyard of Steamvents. They have 6 cards in their hand. Probably should have tapped different. I agree. How do you like Artist Talent and Flage and Ruby Storm? I'm attending like first Grand Prix in years, so insights are helpful. I tend to think Dragon Rage's Channeler is marginally better than Artist Talent. But it's certainly very close. I think the Flage, I don't like fully understand. They just concede. God, how do I digest that my opponent just 3 mana, 6 cards in hand, Archon of Cruelty in the yard, just conceded But they even knew my hand was like, they knew 2 of my 3 cards. Yeah, they maybe bet no on the 10-minute time difference. I don't know. Very hard to digest. Did they mill all the Persist Bones? No. Dingo doesn't like DRC in Storm because one of the strings in Storm is blanking a lot of the removal. Well, the thing is, you play 4 Rowls, and a lot of times DRC eats a removal spell that Rowl would have eaten otherwise. I do think that is the argument, but I think it's a flawed argument because I think a lot of times Channeler acts like a Thoughtseize for their removal that makes them tap a mana, and it also curves really well because it's a 1-drop. I think that dynamic is really nice. I think it also lets you win through sideboard hate cards. You just draw 2 Channelers and you attack for 6 a turn, and they kept a hand with sideboard cards. Happens kind of often. Except the mulligan this on the draw. Kind of close. If I knew I was drawing a white source, I'd probably keep. I think that's mulligan anyways. Okay, I would keep that 7 over almost any 5, including this 5. I think Talent is much better than DRC. There's probably more of an argument coming, but I would like to hear it. I would like to hear it. I think that both are certainly fine in the list. Yeah, give me that 7-card hand back, huh? I do think Storm is really well positioned. I almost played it in the showcase. There are definitely pros and cons to both cards. One big pro to Channeler too is that if you are Hellbent, which happens a lot in the deck, you're still generating like a lot of value from the card. Where once you go out of cards in hand, which happens a lot because of all the exile-based effects, you stop generating value from the cards. Well, maybe an anticlimactic game 3. Rao can flip in response to removal. Sometimes. To say that Rao blanks removal is definitely not a true statement, though. It's not that tough to kill a Rao. Is strong about blue-black decks, and the +2 damage is quite relevant. Okay, so the +2 damage from the talent, I had almost just seen that be like more or less flavor text. So it's really interesting to me that you think it's really relevant. I'm not trying to disagree with you. I'm trying to understand what it is you really like about it. Because for me, it's like what does that allow you? Oh, man, I just need a Solitude. I think it's just not enough. Well, this makes a top deck Solitude even better. So it's like, the +2 damage on Art of Talent does what? It lets you kill with a Grape Shot that's like 7 instead of, or that's not 7, 6 instead of 20. Maybe it does come up a lot. I think that Artist Talent is better against blue-black decks, but I don't know how popular are blue-black decks at the moment. All right, I'm going to block here. I'm going to take a big hit, and we're going to top deck a Solitude. I guess we could cast a Witch Enchanter to cycle and gain a life if we miss. Sorry, I thought that was a discard. We're down to 5. They got 4 cards in their hand. Yeah, the prediction's going to be really close. Looking not that likely here, I think. They're playing another spell. Or they're cycling a troll. Is the Grixis deck real? I think just Reanimator in general is well positioned. I think Reanimator in general is well positioned, and because people are skipping a lot of graveyard hate for artifact hates. So that's my assessment of the deck. I don't necessarily think it's a lot more complicated than that. Okay, so they trigger the Oculus. We draw Solitude. Wait, what the heck? Could we ritual? I guess we could ritual into Risen Reef. I think that's probably better than casting the Witch Enchanter because we could still Solitude and Ephemerate. So I do hit the Risen Reef. Come on, Solitude. Surveil it. Oh no! Why? Why would you show me this? Yeah, I mean, if we did draw the Solitude and we get to go exile 2 things, trigger Risen Reef twice, we're definitely in pretty good shape. And we also did not quite get to 10 minutes, so sorry, believers. The study of Quantum Riddler has begun. Hell yeah. My opponent's on a Multi 6 on the play. Third one, Surveil. Maybe Reanimator again. Maybe just Rakdos build. If they're playing Marsh Flats over Delta or Mire. They take the Birthing Ritual pretty predictably. We might get to witness it back. Just be Martyr Energy. Okay. Graveyarding Flage, always a little annoying. So losing Subtlety for the Flage is a little bit tough, but my opponent is trying to Emperor of Bones my Birthing Rituals because they know I have the Witness, so I think I need to say, no thank you. Birthing Ritual is really important in these matchups. They put the Emperor on the bottom, and they missed their land drop, so 2 good things for me, I think. Yeah, let's keep an Ephemerate. Maybe that's a little greedy, because if they kill my Witness, then I have no creatures, but it's just so good with so many of my top decks. And it's good if they don't kill my Witness. Like, making them kill Witness could be a little annoying for them, too. They also might not main phase kill Witness. They could hold up the discharge, and then we really get them with the Ephemerate. Mardu Blink. So, I guess... Yeah, I guess Emperor of Bones does lead more towards Blink, huh? Good call. Interesting. Maybe Mardu Reanimator, Mardu Gorios. They discard an Overlord and a Solitude, and then they miss their land drop. Immigrant with the 24 months. Thank you so much. I'm not going to sing the I'm Blue song, but thank you for the resub. Alright, well, this really worked out. Let's grab the Subtlety. It's what we call a blowout. I guess we might as well witness for a witness. Grab witness back. Value Town. They've missed their land drops again. Things are looking pretty good. Okay, so they persist an Overlord. Cool. They grab a Solitude, and if they pitch Solitude, we'll Subtlety. So we can maintain the Eternal Witness Ephemerate loop. Yes, please. Yeah, well played. So I'm a mana short of going Helga into Quantum Riddler this turn, which would be probably what I'd want to do. I think with how much action we have here, it's important that I keep hitting my land drops. I think I'm going to witness for a land. Then warp the Riddler, and then go to my instep. I think I'm taking Solitude for the Overlord over any other card. It's possible my opponent Solitude's my Riddler before the Ritual trigger resolves, which, you know, of course, wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened to anybody, but... we just find a Witch Enchanter, which is, you know, better, I think, than a Riddler that's leaving the field. Oh, wait, sorry. Witch Enchanter is pretty good. Overlord is an enchantment. Nice. Alright, so now we're back to being very ahead. My opponent's hand is Solitude and 2 mystery cards. So they're trying to flicker their Witch Enchanter to kill my Ritual, so I think we go ahead and Subtlety. Time walk them. Subtlety, I think very good in the warp metagame. I think the card is adding a lot of stock, and it of course helps too that it seems like people are kind of moving back to some more Titan and Neoform. We've definitely seen a little bit of an uptick in both those decks over the last week or so. So let's go ahead and turn our Witch Enchanter into a second Riddler. And pass the turn to you. A little bit scared of top decked Arena of Glory. Alright, so they do get to kill this. I guess Prismatic Ending on the Flick-Wisp isn't lethal. We're pretty ahead still. We make a white mana. Make a blue mana, I don't know. Nice. Another Riddler, so I guess we're gonna... Oh, I don't think there's a way for me to warp the Riddler in a way where I can get 3 cards because of the... I guess we're just trying to hit a land off of this Reef trigger. We can also hit a blue card and then warp... Okay, nice. Okay, so we'll make a blue mana. And then we get to draw 4 cards off this Quantum Riddler. You know, some people have been playing less than 4 Quantum Riddlers in their decks. It might be a card availability thing. Opponent passing the turn. Let's not show them any more cards. We'll just attack. I mean, 0 is a fine number, but I've just seen a lot of 2s and 3s of Riddlers. I think it's just a 4 of if you're playing it. Alright, so I do think we want to move away from the Chant lock. They are playing Faithless Looting and Emperor Bones and Flage, so the endurances are probably pretty good. It might be like a 3x endurance matchup. I probably want the 4th ending too. Subtlety seem really good. Everything seems really good. I might just trim a Witness since we have cut the Chance. I think that seems okay. They're a little bit worse than the draw too, of course. Yeah, the Riddlers stack with each other. So if you have one, you would think that maybe like you would like once you drew that extra card, you'd have too many other cards in your hand for it to apply. But because it's a replacement effect, they all replace together and they stack together. I do think that's definitely like an unintuitive part of the card. Yeah, we beat Belcher, then we lost in 3 to a Grixis deck. How has Fade from History been over Force of Vigor? I mean, they're different cards, of course. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. But the idea is that Fade from History kills Kappa Cannoneer really well. It kills everything, and the games do usually go long enough that you can get value out of it. It's possible that we could play Force of Vigors over the Wraths. There's obviously just a lot of different ways you could build the deck. Okay, so I think because I have Solitude Ephemerate, I'm just going to go ahead and warp the Riddler, get it later. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to Solitude right now, though. I'm going to play Helga next turn, probably, and then intend to go either like Subtlety and Solitude or Risen Reef into those things next turn. Okay, well, maybe I should have evoked into response to Thoughtseize. Although I can also just play Risen Reef and have a non-card draw source of card advantage for a little bit, potentially. Well, they took Ephemerate, so that's also interesting. Yeah, Reef doesn't trigger Bowmaster. I was just thinking that the Helga, if I go Helga this turn and I Solitude and Subtlety potentially, then I'm set up to cast the Quantum Riddler afterwards. But I also don't have another white card, so... And now we just have 5 mana anyways. Okay, so maybe I could set up to Subtlety something this turn, and then evoke Solitude, pitch Solitude, or maybe just hardcast a Solitude and hardcast a Solitude. Both seem fine. Yeah, I think we'll at least Subtlety the Overlord. Yeah, I agree that double hardcast looks pretty good, but another thing is we just have this Quantum Riddler that we could cast next turn if I evoked. Both roads seem like they lead to Rome. And I've been to Rome actually. So I would know. All right. Okay, I think we're gonna be fine. I think we're gonna be fine. Let me go to main phase. Yeah, so maybe next turn we go Helga, evoke, and we can use the Helga to cast the Riddler, possibly. Obviously, gonna be hard to lose this one. All right, they might concede when they see my hand. Nope, they're battling. I think I'm gonna go for Helga over Ritual this turn. Although maybe they have their own Solitude Ephemerate. Okay, we'll just hold the Solitude for a second. Yeah, we can attack too. Like, the only way we really realistically lose this is to Solitude Ephemerate, so let's just protect against that. We'll let them get rid of something here. We'll make them make the first move. Yeah, so I did consider really seriously playing the Omnath. I obviously chose against it. We did play an earlier build with Omnath, and to me it really felt like the mana was way worse off for it. The mana curve is also really high, and so in some ways we're kind of just playing Risen Reef over Omnath, and I'm more or less happy with that decision. It's not just a 1-for-1 that's what's happening. No, I think my opponent had Ephemerate in their hand, and they knew I had Solitude, so they were hoping that I Solituded their Solitude in response to the ETB, and I just didn't. How's Helga been that good here? Doesn't seem like it plays very well with a lot of the deck. I mean, we're still pretty early into testing the build. It's possible Helga isn't right. Very early into the testing process, so hard to really say for sure, I think. I don't love having double witness in this hand, but I think we're keeping. Like, this would be a pretty good 6 if it was -1 witness. Why would you Solitude evoke Solitude proactively? So in that spot, we would do it because we wanted to get our Risen Reef trigger. It would be the wrong play if we did that. But like, the reason to Solitude their Solitude is to get our Risen Reef trigger. And quite frankly, like, they were so far behind, I think that trying to bait me into that mistake was fine. I don't think they're really winning the game unless I make that mistake. So I put it mold to 4, then they played a Misty Rainforest. Makes me think maybe the Living End. Keeping a land, of course. I think we're surveilling instead of saving fetch land for Nissa. JP with the 33 months, welcome back. How do you feel about the Simic Birthing Ritual deck? I feel like Oskapau keeps doing well. I mean, that's a deck that originated on this channel. I think that it is good-ish in some metagames. I think that it is... I do think that build should also be playing 4 Riddlers. It's like, your Riddler, the more Riddlers you play, the better they are to just ritual into more Riddlers. And you also kind of just have like a bunch of gigantic flyers, so like you care about creature removal less, which is the big weakness of that deck, is not getting to play a lot of creature removal. There's a lot of question marks in that build, like, do you play Snare and Scolding and maybe the card Counterspell over like some amount of Shardless Agents? But that deck is good. I think it's good at grinding and it's good at interacting with linear decks, and I think it's not that good against Boros, but can win. Oh, we're up against Neoform. So they are a Neoform on a mold of 3. We don't have a Subtlety, but having 4 Subtlety in the deck is pretty good against them. Good mold to 4 for them to turn to put this Gristlebrand into play. However, when they pay, because I guess they have with 16 life, it's kind of Convenient for them, huh? I think it's best to Solitude now so we can play around both Pact of Negation a little bit better and then also Shoal a little bit better. So they are trying to draw a Consign in the top 14 cards of their deck, which is definitely achievable. Seems like they don't have another writer. I think right about now they would have conceded if they didn't have the pact. Or so the Consign for the pact trigger. So we can't Orim's Chant in response to the pact. Wait, can we? Oh, we could respond to the trigger. Damn it! Sorry, I should have thought about that a little bit more. Because for some reason I thought the trigger was already like live and oh no, it is targetable. Sorry, never mind. It is. I had a little bit of a brain fart there, but no, the trigger is on the stack and they could target response to the chant. And I don't know, I don't know why my brain flipped on that, but right to bottom of the chant here, I think we could pick it up with the witness next turn maybe. Did you see how much standard is flourishing over the weekend? I didn't see. I don't know what does that mean, flourishing though. Keep white card though. Wait, Solitude. Well, the thing is, we could witness it back pretty easily. I'm interested in finding a fetch land potentially. I'm interested in tapping out for Nissa and thinking that they probably can't Neoform again next turn. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, I think drawing the Ephemerate I actually do just play the witness, and then I grab. I think I grab Solitude just in case. In standard, one deck had a 100% win rate. It's a one deck format, 7 bans really fix it. That sucks. So they discarded a Consign, and then they're going to Consign here. I think Blue-Red Cauldron is genuinely the single most dominant deck in Magic history for a given format. So, as someone who has not kept up with Standard at all, that is a crazy statement, and it might be true. I just haven't been keeping up with Standard. What makes it this? Like, what makes it more dominant than like Nadu and Modern, or like what would the other examples be even? It's more dominant than Rebels and Block Constructed. That's also a bit before my time. I don't even like know what the deck looks like. Wait, I mean, Dimir midrange winning is kind of interesting. I love to always see the goldfish ads. They just get a little bit more invasive every time I visit the site. Well, deck does look pretty sick. It's crazy that it's that powerful. To me to say it's that oppressive seems difficult for it to be true. Might be true though. I don't know what's going on. It's worse than Nadu in my opinion. I don't have historical context to make such claim. Well, I mean, Nadu was like Nadu was the most oppressive deck in Modern's history in my opinion. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a way for me to... If this was a white source, I could go Nissa, make a mana, Ephemerate, then Chant, but it looks like I just need to Ephemerate, Chant, and play the tapped breeding pool here. So, like, are there not, like one thing is their deck is, like, very much, like, they curve out and they play cards at sorcery speed. It doesn't. To me, it seems like their deck, in theory, could be weak to sweepers if the sweepers also hit. Okay, so we got pacted. Wait, they're not pacting and then doing nothing because they're just gonna lose. I just get to do this again. Then they have a trigger to contend with. Okay, so they pitch a Rider. They pitch a Neoform and a Summoner's Pact. Now, they've already Gristlebranded, so Maybe they're gonna get Urini to kill my Witness and dodge Solitude. Yeah, I mean, like, it's like one thing too is like Nadu was really dominant for a really long time, and it didn't get fixed. Yeah, Traxa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they do find a Consign for the pack trigger next turn. Galta put in Zingos. When they went into their second main phase, we were hoping they Galta put in Zingos because we had the Solitude. It seems their goal is to just power creep the best deck out of the format every set. In Standard, that certainly isn't their goal if they ban 7 cards. That's not power creep, that's power hammer. I mean, Standard seems to be a very difficult set to design for in general. They grab Neoform, Elishnorn, Xenagos, Consign, and Flooded Strand. So they play the land, which means that they can pay for the pact if they want. Then they Neoform the Atraxa into Urini. No, they have messed something up here. They're getting Elishnorn and Xenagos, which means that my rebound isn't going to happen. I'm going to wait on the Solitude. I don't think there's any reason to really do it now. Okay, so let's start off with the Solitude, and then they should consign the ETB, but they might not. Okay. They consign the ETB, they can pay for their pact trigger. I didn't draw the white cards for me to be able to witness back Solitude, nor did I draw the land, so I could kick Orim's Chant at the very least to buy myself a turn. I guess I could draw exactly Orim's Chant off the Riddler. Now I think there's nothing I can draw off the Riddler. Yeah, okay. Tough game 1. Thought we were gonna win that one. They did turn to Gristlebrand me. I'm gonna bring in the 4th Chant, so our main plan is these Chants and Subtleties. They're main decking Elishnorn, which is pretty interesting. That's not a card that we have a lot of game against. I think we are going to bring a couple Consigns in just because I don't think we have cards that do much else. I did want to get a couple Force of Negations into the sideboard. We had years and years and years where Standard was great, and I don't know what happened, but ever since Eldraine, it feels like we cannot have more than a single season of good Standard at a time. Okay, so when were these years and years and years of good Standard? Because my recollection is that like Standard being like good and popular is kind of like it's predates Eldraine, I would think. Or sorry, it was after Eldraine, but again, I don't play a lot of Standard, obviously, but like Wilds of Eldraine. Like I don't think like all of this was good. Or sorry, I don't think a lot of this pre-Eldraine was good. Like I don't remember Marching Machine, Phyrexia, Brothers War Dom, Streets, Kamigawa being very popular when the Ravnicuts were in Standard. Yeah, the standard formats I've really liked. I really liked RTR Innistrad, and I really liked Kaladesh. I don't remember what the other one alongside Kaladesh I liked actually. Okay, so if I go turn 2 Phelia, if I find a green source, I can chant, and then I can go witness, back the land, play the land, flicker Phelia, then get back chant. So I think this is a keep. Even the standards all Fable and Bankbuster. No. Did I say Kamigawa? I said Kaladesh, didn't I? I liked the Torrential Gearhulk standard with Dynavolt Tower. Dynavolt Tower, my favorite standard deck ever. Maybe nuts. No, actually, behind every Rintrud Ravnica Innistrad standard deck. Besides all of those, my favorite ever. Okay, we do find the lamb. All right, so the plan is to get the Phelia down this turn, hopefully. Then chant, then set up the witness lock. Kaladesh got Energy, Vehicle, Emrakul Mage, and it was all Bant Company mirrors. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that it was not. I know a lot of people didn't like that standard. I just really liked it. I don't know. I love the Dynamo Tower decks. I thought it was unbelievably fun. I think that that's also kind of a big part of standard too. Is that there are just like some standard formats people really resonate with, and like I think everybody has like one or two that they really like that not everybody liked. I didn't like dislike standard when I was playing it in like the era where we stopped playing MH3 modern. I talking about Chain Whirler, Red Black, or before that. It was before that. I remember Chain Whirler, Red Black was what my Pro Tour teammate played at the team PT in Minneapolis. Okay, that is tough. Okay, they don't have the combo though. Or if they do, they're going to the second main phase. They play a Beseiju, then they pass. Get our last Surveil out of the deck. Wouldn't hate a land. Yeah, I think we'll just keep and go Reef Ritual. Oh. Guess it's okay. Tapped a little awkwardly. Maybe running into another dispute or something. Is Flickros not playable enough to make for the cut? I mean, I think Wisp is just not that good with Riddler compared to Ephemerate and Phelia. Oh, we're only playing one Phelia, though. It's possible you could play it, though. Okay, do I want to swap my Risen Reef for a Nissa? Yeah, I think so. Nissa can dig me deeper for Subtlety, which is what we really need in Solitudes. Alright, 6 cards in their hand. Okay, don't hate that. Interesting that didn't Besage you end of turn, though. I feel like with second Reef, you draw, you keep it. Maybe. I mean, we did. It's funny, we just drew another one. I think this we really want to find Subtlety in Solitudes, so I think this was right. It's kind of close. I agree. Okay. Really want to find a fetch land or a Subtlety. Find none of those. So now we would have to hit double land triggers to get our Nissa trigger. So there's one land trigger, not when we need it, but it's when we get it. Okay, we find Subtlety, so not that they can't have disruption for this, but it's not like they disrupted anything I just did. Not that they would necessarily need to either. Okay, they're passing. I have, much more than lethal in play. All right, then they concede. We're going to game 3 on the draw. I think I'm pretty unlikely to not keep a hand without a Subtlety or Solitude. Obviously, Subtlety a lot better than Solitude. Sometimes Solitude's better, but I guess they're not going to probably go for the Xenagos call to kill that aggressively against the Solitude deck. Well, we got one of our elementals. Let's keep, I think. I want to get your opinion on the card Huskbuster Swarm. 7 mana, that's 1 less for each creature card in graveyard exile. I'm not good at evaluating. Pretty strong in a Cosmic Wave for Vengevine Shell. It's tough to get 6 cards in graveyard and exile. I do think that there could be a Serum Powder Goyf Swarm deck. The thing is, like, Serum Powder is just you don't have that many Serum Powder hands as many as you might think. But It's a card that has potential, but I don't think it probably is right for a lot of decks. They missed their second land, which, you know, it does of course make it a lot more likely that they have the combo. Okay, so we're gonna wait on the Orim's Chant until they play the Rider, and then we can go Chant plus Solitude. We could Chant now. Yeah, I don't really see a lot of reason to Chant now instead of just making them pitch two of their cards. They grab the Rider. They pitch a Summoner's Pact and a Veil of Summer. So if their hand is exactly Pact of Negation and Neoform, we get got. That has to be their exact two cards. And then they have to find a Consign. All right, let's get a 4-1 prediction. We lost to Grixis in 3, but this build's looking pretty good. So I'm not a pro. Okay, we're on the draw against an opponent who's mulled at least 6. We've kept 7, and they're still thinking about their 6-card hand. Do you think Elishnorn main is worth feels good against all of the Blink decks? I guess I would probably say I don't think it's very good against the Blink decks because it's so weak to Solitude, but it might be. No, I'm not. I've decided I'm not going to share any descriptions of the books. I've tried to, or the book. I've tried to tell a few people about it, and it's just like impossible to like. I don't have an elevator pitch for it. It just takes too long to articulate. It doesn't usually come out all that well. it's just too big. I will at some point write a description of it, but I've decided to not ever pitch it out loud, I think. On stream at least. So probably gonna rebound the Ephemerate on the Solitude, even though it means we miss our free Siege Rhino trigger. But we want the Ephemerate in the yard for the future Eternal Witness. Alright, they got 4 cards in their hand. They got a Clue token also. They don't main phase sack the Clue to try to hit their land, which is interesting. But they do pass the turn. Keep that on top, and then I think we play the Witness for the Ephemerate this turn. Me attack first. Played someone Spike on Night Rain this morning. Was it new? Me? No. I haven't played video games in a while. I have... Since I tried to play Night Rain on stream and it was really laggy, I haven't touched the game. This morning I went to go lift weights and I couldn't hit 165 on the chest press, which I have been hitting. I was just feeling like very tired. So I decided to go after the stream and see if I could do it. I did 1 rep, but I'm trying to do like at least 6 reps of it to failure. I was just very sleepy, and I couldn't. I tried jumping around. I tried getting my blood pumping. I tried like this blaring music, but I just couldn't. I couldn't wake up. I think I grab Ephemerate. I might know how to fix that depending on your CPU if you care at all. I'm not super interested in playing it right now. I would like to at some point, but I really don't want to get into another video game at the moment. I'm really enjoying grinding the stream and the game and exercise and the writing. You ever take pre-workout? I mean, I drink like a yerba mate for tea. Pre-workout is too much caffeine. Like, I feel so sick when I take it. Not unusual to take some small steps back while making progress. The muscles need rest and repair. Yeah, that's that. So my schedule right now is that I'm lifting weights every 4 days to really try to emphasize the recovery period. I've been lifting weights now for maybe 16 months, give or take a few. And I was really regularly doing like 2 days on, 1 day off, but a lot of what I've been reading say that that's just not really optimal. And so I'm doing it every 4 days, and then I'm also it's like an okay spot to ephemerate. I'm doing it every 4 days, and I'm also doing 2 cardio days between that, and then 1 day of recovery, which also may be too much. Maybe I might need to pivot into a 5 day cycle. That's 2 days recovery, 2 days cardio, 1 day weightlifting. But that's just where I'm at the moment. Attacking before spells was pretty weak to bowmasters. I mean, my opponent would have had to have just top decked it because it would have been pretty good on any turn up to this one. And didn't they hit the land drop, which means they didn't top deck it? I think the specific frequency of how many days on versus off completely depends on how hard you're actually pushing yourself for days. I'm pushing myself very hard. I'm doing 2 exhaustion on 5 different muscle groups. 4 rest days is likely overstimulating recovery. Well, it's 1 rest day and 2 cardio days, and so it's 3 days in between workout sets. I think they forgot about the rebounding ephemerate. Why only one Nissa? I mean, so I had 2 Nissa, 2 Helga, and then because Helga pitches to both my incarnations and Nissa pitches to neither, I decided to favor the Helga a little bit higher. But I could definitely see going the other way on that split. Would I ever consider becoming a powerlifter? No. I'm exercising so that I can be healthy, that I can be a healthy and active father when I become a father, so that I can have the energy to do all of my other projects, so I can, have a good heart rate and I could, feel good and look good. But I'm not interested in being a bodybuilder, despite, that was something I kind of wanted to do when I was in my early 20s and I lifted a lot of weights. Now I'm 31. I just doing it for health. So we're playing against normal Dimir. I know they have Nile Spellbomb in the main, which might just be for Flage. That happens sometimes, but also might mean that they are like a Saga deck. Probably not that likely. I think I want to cut the chance. And probably need to play 2 Endurance, despite them not being that good. Maybe play 1 Chant, 1 Endurance. You find yourself sleeping and tossing and turning while ruminating, or more physical? Your troubled sleeping is tossing and turning. I don't know what ruminating means. It's just kind of a lack of an ability to fall asleep. I don't really toss and turn that much. I can't because these dogs are always cuddling me. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick while we wait for game 2. Your friend aspiring spike. Your friend aspiring spike. It's me, your friend aspiring spike. Okay, so on the draw against Dimir Frog, I like having a Prismatic Ending for Frog or Tamia. Let's go ahead and keep this hand. And then I guess we also have Ritual Riddler. No Frog is good. Could get Harbingered. I think if that happens, it happens. No way to really play around at this game, I think. What do you take in here? I obviously depends on their hand. I think they should take the Riddler almost always. Yeah, I'm not really visualizing a lot of hands they can have that don't want to take the Riddler. It might be the ritual. I guess if they have a dispute, they could take the ritual, or maybe. Yeah, I don't think any other card really makes a lot of sense for them to take the ritual instead. Unless they just really don't think they can beat it over the course of a long game. Why didn't we pass with Phelia? I mean, I'm on the draw against an opponent who is just like mostly playing 1-for-1s. So I think I'm just totally happy to just like play a 2-drop into the counter magic when I have 2 birthing rituals. Also, like if they don't have the counter spell for this one, the game almost just ends and we just have a second copy. Where Phelia plays into both push and counterspell, because if we go Phelia then Riddler and they counterspell, then we just kind of have nothing going on, right? So oh yeah, it doesn't trigger if you don't have a creature. It's really nice. So the Surveil does happen. Let's not keep the Forest. Is Vocalist a win more card in here? So we had Vocalist in our first draft, which was 4-color with Omnath. It was really good with Birthing Ritual, where it was just like another way for you to set up your birthing rituals. But I do think for the most part, I would describe it as win more. I didn't feel like it was that important for the deck, and I'm enjoying this deck with just more 3-drops instead. How has Helga felt? Seems like she hasn't done much, but maybe I haven't seen it hit the field a lot. Yeah, it hasn't hit the field a lot. I mean, we have played a lot of Helga in like the Omnath in the Omnath Karuga deck. I like the card Helga. I think one thing that's kind of minor but also really important is that Helga pitches to Solitude and to Subtlety. The fact that it pitches to both is a really, really big deal. And so like if you compare that to like Nissa, which is a card I would maybe want one more copy of, then we just have like a really like 15 versus 14 blue cards for Subtlety is annoying. It's just like it being blue and white is a really big deal. In addition to like I think working really well with most of the cards in our deck. It's possible we could play like one last kind of easily, especially if we could figure out a way to do that while playing another blue card. Ideally a blue and white card. I have no cards left in their hand. Constant with the 41, welcome back. Been busy a few weeks. Any Inverter Brews? Could Riddler make its well into Inverter Shell? We haven't had any Inverter builds in the last few weeks. I do think we had one recently. Although I will say this is a good time to shout out the sponsor. If you want this question, you don't have to wait for your resub. You can go Inverter, type here, and then look. So in May of this year, we played Ketramos Inverter. The idea is you get to be Esper with Relic and Frog to exile your graveyard for Inverter, and then you get to access the combo. I think this is probably the best Inverter shell. Thank you, Moxfield. And if you're wondering if I built around a card, that is the best way to find out if I'm online or offline. All right, let's hold up the hardcast Subtlety. I think it's pretty telegraphed though. I'll probably just play it end of turn if they don't play into it. They do know I have the birthing ritual. Just rewatch your match. I was playing so you were playing so much faster than like every other opponent today. You have no idea. You have no idea. I think let's go ahead and play their ritual first. It's the card they know about. Yeah, we'll play the Riddler then. Okay, so let's go ahead and just see what we warp into, and then we'll cast the Ephemerate if we don't find anything. What? But they just concede. Okay, so 4-1 after losing Game 3 to a Multi-5 against Grixis Reanimator. I feel like this looked great. I definitely want to play another league. But what is... Are there any changes we want to make? So maybe Affinity is on the downswing.